Manasseh, thanks for joining us. On radio this morning, you said you were surprised Mr. Amidu was still at post and that he hadn't resigned. Did you have a premonition that he was going to resign this afternoon when you said that in the morning?
No, I am not one of those prophets. I just believed he had stayed too long in that position. And when I met him this year, not long ago, I asked him directly, why are you still at post? Because I felt that Martin Amidu's reputation, he had built a reputation. Some of us looked up to him when we started doing this anti-corruption thing. I was still in journalism school when he was doing his exploits. So we looked up to him. So for him to have sat down for all that he had built to go down the drain, I felt it was too much. And some of us knew some of the things that were not public. So I was surprised that he stayed this long. If you remember last year, the Ghana Integrity Initiative held Integrity Awards. 5 personalities were selected. Martin Amidu was not selected, but some years back, if there was one Ghanaian that was to be selected for any integrity award, it would have been him. And this did not happen because he had done anything bad, but he accepted a position that appeared as though his hands were tied, things were not happening as they should. And he was not jumping and getting out of it. So that was my problem, and I felt he had stayed too long. In
the video we aired before the interview part, you heard him say that because of the difficulties he was facing, he was using common sense and that he was collaborating with the likes of Iyoko, Shraj, and the Office of the Auditor General. So it already suggests that he knew he was in a position where frustration was going to be characterized by his job. So it's not as if he didn't know that this was going to happen. If you listen to that voice clip carefully, he was basically saying that I'm doing the best I can. So what's, in your view, what accounts for the change all of a sudden? Because he knew that he wasn't going to have his free way from the beginning.
Well, there's a proverb that says that hunger that has hope for its satisfaction does not kill. So if you're hungry and you know that one day you get food, you can survive. But when you get to the point that you realize that there's no hope for me, that hunger can kill so easily. So I think Martin Amidu, from what I know, after this Ejapa deal, got the realization that going forward, this administration is not committed to the fight against corruption, which some of us have been talking about since day one. And without the presidency being committed, there was no way Martin Amidu was going to succeed. When he was appointed, I did an article titled "The Craziest Presidential Appointment." And in that article, Bernard, let me just read 2 short paragraphs.
Good.
I said to the president, Martin Amidu is your best appointment. His appointment is your greatest achievement. His appointment is your strongest statement yet that you are committed to fighting corruption. But that's not enough. The battle has only begun. Appointing Martin Amidu will be meaningless if he does not get your support and backing. His office needs to be funded. His office will need to be independent to function. And you are key to the success or otherwise of that office. Tonight, we are hearing that the independence Martin Amidu needed, he didn't get it. And there was no way he was going to succeed. I believe that if the president is committed to fighting corruption and grants the other bodies independence, we may not even need the office of the special prosecutor to do this fight or to be the only hope against fighting graft in this country.
Do you think he should have accepted the appointment?
Yes, he should. If I were him, I would have also accepted the appointment, unless, of course, he was a prophet too, or he knew more than some of us knew, because I genuinely believed that President Akufo-Addo would be different, and that the message of incorruptibility, the no-nonsense approach, was anything to go by. So some of us believed, I specifically, they say don't trust politicians, but I had some amount of trust in President Akufo-Addo's commitment to fighting corruption.
Manasseh, you've done some significant anti-corruption work within the 2 years that Mr. Amidu was named special prosecutor. Now, have your paths crossed at all, in the sense that has he had occasion to follow up on anything you've done, or has his office called to check on something you've done to see how you can collaborate? Because he did say he's been collaborating. Within the 2 years he's been in the position, have your paths crossed formally in terms of your work?
Yes, Bernard, it has. I remember before I came out with the contract for sale, I hinted the Auditor General. And what I said was that, look, a journalist can only do his part, but looking at the nature of it, I suspected that those of them who had a part to summon people to answer certain questions beyond what a journalist can do would definitely need to work. So I hinted the Auditor General, who told me he had also hinted the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and they were working on it. So if you read his press release today, in which he spoke about the fact that some work had already started, that intelligence came from me. Beyond that, I had also met him in person when there was so much pressure about the fact that he wasn't working. And I said, well, I knew about some low-hanging fruits on the Judas scandal, because a lot of the things were left undone. And so I was prepared to support or volunteer to support his office if he was interested. And I didn't quite get a good response. The excuse at the time was that he had only 1 or 2 prosecutors, and that he felt the Attorney General's office was more resourced to have done that, which I felt wasn't right, because there are some cases the Attorney General is not interested in, and I've had my own issues with them. But coming back to the contracts for sale, I am aware that there was an initial collaboration between him and also the Office of the Auditor General. And so that's how come they were able to go through some of the bank statements and came to a conclusion that in excess of 41 million cedis had been lodged into the account of Mr. Abia. So
yeah, Manasseh, on that point, I find it interesting that in his conclusion, he suggests that Shraj, for some strange reason, did not give the full amount in Mr. Ajay's bank account. Now, initially when you started this work, I think there was a report that Mr. Amidu said they were also doing some work on it. Okay, and then you've done the work. Shiraz has also done some work. Now he comes out to release further details. So is it that he's been working on this all along, or because of the success of your work and Shiraz's work, he was forced to issue this before he resigned? Because this letter is dated November 13, but you did this work a bit earlier than this. So has he always been doing this work? Do you know, or is it, what's your comment on the timing of his release of this one?
Well, I can say that work has stalled. Martin Amidu hasn't done much. I'm saying this because the figures he has, those figures were given to his office in October 2019. So more than a year ago, his office, with the help of the Office of the Auditor General, was able to come to the realization that this amount of money was lodged into the account of this man within this period. And this, we are talking also about his private account. Talent Discovery Limited has its official account that also received payments. And when I was looking at the details, I also got the impression that, well, Mr. ABJ was mentioned there, and I saw something like UMB or Zenith Bank or something. So I was also thinking about the fact that, well, if they are minded to also look at other accounts, we may find more than this. So that work stalled. If you read Martin Amidu's statement today, or the one dated
November 13, yes,
he stated somewhere that the work stalled. And as I sit here, I have not even been invited to take my witness statement. When the issue was referred to Shraj, that same week, they called me, took my statement, and requested that if there was something more I had, and normally with investigation, I'm not able to publish everything. So I give the full interviews and other things to Shraj. But more than a year afterwards, he is admitting that my witness statement is yet to be taken, and the investigators went to ABAJ's house and couldn't find anything within the 30 minutes.
Yeah, although he complains about the conduct of the investigators, but I think the point he makes is the fact that the amounts lodged in Mr. J's account are much more than Shraj put out. So possibly he's basically seeing this as a useful addition to what has already been done. The fact that the amounts are actually bigger. For the sake of viewers, in his Ghana account, there's 15.6 million cedis, then $4.4 million, and then 54,500 euros. So possibly this release was to correct that misimpression, you think?
Well, I think that it is useful to tell us that there was more than Shraj found, but I also asked my sources at Shraj, and what I got was that they wrote to the Financial Intelligence Center asking for suspicious money that were paid into ABAJ's account. And the response they got from the Financial Intelligence Center is what they compiled.
Okay.
So it isn't like perhaps they intentionally left some out. And I'm saying if they are perhaps minded to look at all of ABAJ's Ghana or Citi accounts, I'm not sure he has only one Citi account.
Okay.
Because look at the TDL account, there were some narrations that suggested that he has other accounts. So we may end up even getting more than this. And perhaps the monies that did not go through the bank, because he may have taken some cash, used it to buy properties, which would not be captured in this account. So useful information.
Okay.
But I think the most important thing is letting him answer for whatever monies he received.
Manasseh, this is 3 weeks to an election. Could this be of electoral consequence in your view? I mean, for those who are using election as a campaign tool, could this be an influential action?
It could be for those who still had hopes in the presidency of Akufo-Addo to fight corruption. But those whose eyes opened early enough, this shouldn't come as a surprise. But my worry goes beyond the elections. Some foreign ambassadors said last year that those fighting against corruption in this country are being fought, and that's where the problem is. Mahama was terrible in the fight against corruption, but in his era, there was that freedom to fight. Now the Auditor General is gone because he dared to touch Osafo Mafu. Martin Amidu is gone because he dared to touch Ejapa. Those of us who are journalists, if we be truthful to ourselves, it hasn't been easy these past 4 years. So if you cannot fight corruption, at least allow others to do their part. Yes. If you are doing DB Mami DB, allow others to do Kabi Mami Kabi.
Fantastic. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this video on Citi TV's YouTube channel. Subscribe for more videos on The Point of View. My name is Bernard Avle. Thank you.
The Point of View with Bernard Avle. Monday and Wednesday nights, only on Citi TV.